So we've allowed these knives to cool off, and all this scale that we've got built up on there, even though I've brushed it, you can't seem to get all of it off, especially in the little twists. And that's where this comes in handy, which is just our wire wheel mounted on a grinder, on a bench grinder. Just a word of caution here, these bristles can and will fly off. And when they do, a lot of times they just end up embedded in your clothing, or I've had it where they bounce up and they get between your safety glasses and your eyes. So I always wear a face shield when I'm working on this particular machine. So here we go. We're just going to use the wire wheel and brush all that scale off. All right, so our next step is to put a rough grind on this prior to heat treating. What I'll concentrate on first is sliding across the face of the blade. When I glide across, I'll be able to look and see where I've got dull spots. That means I've got low spots on that blade. And I'll be able to even them all out. This right now, we're running a 36 grit belt. You want to keep water nearby because you don't want to overheat the steel. Even though we haven't heat treated yet, you don't want to overheat it, and you want to keep your hands, you want to keep it so that you can handle it as you are working. So I'll take a pass across the face. And if you can see, we've got shiny spot, shiny, dull, shiny, dull. What I'm aiming for is a shine all the way across. And it's not going to take much with this belt. So now, if you can see that, we've got a shine all the way across. Now the way I like to set the bevel is just by holding it with the blade side up, and I lean in and I go at about a 45-degree angle. So that's taking metal off this side, and I'm just setting my bevel at this point. And I'll go the other way. And what I'm looking for is the point, the ridge, to be centered on that blade. And I'm pretty happy with the way we've got that. The other thing I'll do at this point is look at the lines of the knife, and if I see areas I want to touch up, I'll hit them with this belt right now. Now we forged this blade to shape, so it shouldn't take much. And that's starting to heat up on me, so I'm just going to quench it. On my railroad spike blades, I like to create a a convex edge. I don't like to have just a straight edge. And I'll let that convex edge flow right into our scale marks. Because what I'm looking for is a contrast between the scale and the polished metal. So to do that, being mindful of where my point is, I'll use the slack belt and I'll run it along the slack belt. And you can see I'm bringing a rounded edge up to that bevel. One word of caution here is I would say if you want to do this style knife, don't get too flat with it. You want to leave as much of the scale as possible if you're trying to get that look. So one more thing I do is I'll just run that edge along the wheel just to take off any burr so that when I heat treat it I don't have a very sharp edge there. Now that blade is ready for heat treat. There are other grinds you can do on it, more decorative grinding you can get into, but I can show you that after the heat treat. We are going to check for critical temperature of the steel. At critical temperature, steel loses its magnetic properties. That's what tells us all those atoms are swimming around in there and they're in a kind of a solid liquid state.